Is California dreaming or is California scheming? I think it's a little of both. Welcome, everyone. 15 minutes with me, Brian Sussman. 15 minutes of unedited stream of consciousness conversation. More on me at briansussman.com. I was born in East Los Angeles. I'm very proud of that. Spent my early years living in the Los Angeles area, East Los Angeles and Montebello to be specific. We moved to Colorado for a couple of years, and then I did 5 years in Chicago, a suburb of Chicago called Northbrook. Wonderful years, eighth grade through high school. Then went to the University of Missouri, met a wonderful girl from California, fell in love, got married, and we've spent most of our life in California. Most of my media career was in the San Francisco marketplace, both TV and radio. I've watched the state go to hell in a handbasket for all these many decades. And what they're doing now is crazier than ever. The state is run by absolute woke, liberal, in many cases, certifiable probably, lunatics who really believe, Marx had something going on that was pretty good. They are always dreaming and they are always scheming. Let me give you one quick example and then I'll save probably the most shocking stuff for the very end of this. But I talk about this in my book, Climate Cult. And if you have not picked up your copy, shame on you. You need to do it right away. Just go to Amazon. It's at a reduced price. Climate Cult, Exposing and Defeating Their War on Life, Liberty, and the Pursuit of Happiness, a.k.a. property. So that's what they're doing with the climate agenda. It has nothing to do with climate. It has everything to do with Marxism. And their champion for all this is Vladimir Lenin. I prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt in the book. But as a result, we have California has the highest taxes in the nation, highest gas taxes in the nation. Gas in the metropolitan areas of San Francisco and Los Angeles is close to $7 a gallon. Diesel's over $9 a gallon. And this is why people like me said, okay, I've had enough. I'm leaving. And we did leave. Several years ago, we bought a house in another state nearby, fixed it up, and the plan was when my wife's father, who we were taking care of, died, we would move. And we moved, and we did that with his blessing. So he almost made it to 100, passed on to glory, and we officially became residents of this state. No turning back, no turning back. I know there are some of you watching right now who couldn't make that kind of a move. You'd love to get out of that state, but you can't. I get it. But maybe there'll be an opportunity for you down the line. We are thrilled to be out of the lunacy, the absolute woke lunacy. And you notice it with the people. When you're in, for example, the greater San Francisco Bay Area and you meet kids in their 20s and 30s, they are so woke, they are so arrogant, and they really kind of look down upon anybody who's not in their clique, their age group. Whereas in this particular state, I've noticed that I see some kids that are really rough around the edges, 20s, 30-somethings, rough around the edges. They're tatted up. They've got their various piercings, and they just sort of look ratty. But you know something? You say hi to them. They look you in the eye, and they say hi back. They can hold a conversation with you and be nice to you, and they're not all woked out. And they're not all lunaticked via their schooling. They're decent kids. Look a little rough around the edges, but they're decent kids. I love it. I also love the fact that I know, well, in this particular state, there's no income tax, state income tax. So I know my money is not being wasted on things like high-speed rail. Listen, I talk about this. I unpack the high-speed rail like no one's ever unpacked it before in Climate Cult. There was something that came up in the news just yesterday. What California is now doing is and I'll tell you all about the high-speed rail. I can do it like lickety-split. But there was something in the news yesterday. California is now using eminent domain to go into cities that are going to be on this proposed rail line, and they're scarfing up land so they can build the terminals. This came about by a voter referendum, I believe it's in 2008. People of California said, yes, we want a high-speed rail to go from San Francisco to Los Angeles. It's going to go 200 miles an hour, 400 400 miles between those two cities. Things are going to move at 200 miles an hour in some cases, and you could get to San Francisco to LA just like that. We already have a way to get from San Francisco to LA just like that. It's called Interstate 5. But they wanted to spend, they said it was going to take 10 years to complete, and it would be $30 billion. Well, it's now approaching $100 billion. There's not 1 inch of track that's been laid between San Francisco and Los Angeles, but instead, they've laid a couple miles of track near a town called Chowchilla. Now, most people in California don't even know where Chowchilla is. It's near Fresno. It's out in kind of an agricultural area. So the whole idea is somehow, people didn't vote on this. Somehow we decided that we're going to build the tracks that are supposed to go from San Francisco to LA from Bakersfield to Chowchilla instead, 171 miles. I don't know why they decided to do this, but it's probably a jobs thing, quite frankly. Because as I note in the book, when they put out this press release in 2023, they said, we're celebrating 10,000 jobs for the high-speed rail. 10,000 jobs dedicated to not 1 inch of track laid in 2023. Not 1 inch of track laid in 2023, but there was a big ribbon cutting, and there was Jerry Brown was there. Jerry Brown actually said this. Listen to this. It's the big bullet train. Jerry Brown gets out and he says something that makes absolutely no sense. He steps up to the microphone and says, what is important? I'm reading this. I'm reading his words word for word, proving that this guy's got a screw loose. Okay. So here we have Governor Jerry Brown. This is before Gavin Newsom. Governor Jerry Brown steps up to the microphone and says, what is important is the connection that we are rooted in our forebears, and we are committed and linked to our descendants. And the high-speed rail links us from the past to the future, from the south to Fresno and north. This is truly a California project bringing us together today. What in the hell was this guy talking about? What he said makes no sense. And yet this was a media event, and not one person in the media dared ask a question, something simple to say, Governor Brown, what did you just say? But this is the whole high-speed rail. It makes absolutely no sense. And now the price tag is going to be well over $100 billion if they ever finish the thing at all. But first they've got to finish that all-important track between Bakersfield and Chowchilla. That's the scene in California. And you know what is really frightening to me? California sort of leads the pack, but then you're starting to see all around the United States. And this should be a warning to all of us, because to me it's incredibly frightening. You're getting all these super woke, highly indoctrinated young people who are entering politics, and they're becoming mayors of liberal cities. And they're running for governorships in some of these liberal states. I'm thinking of this Mondani kook in New York City, who's as liberal can be. He's also of the religion of peace persuasion. I particularly think he's a plant, but that's just me. But then I look at some of these others around the country. I mean, they're cut from the cloth of AOC. They're cut from the cloth of Senator Elizabeth Warren. And of course, Senator Elizabeth Warren's new thing is that she wants AI to be taxed. We need to put a tax on AI and invest in the people. That's what she says. Put a tax on AI and start investing in the people. Can I tell you something? You can go online and look at this yourself. What hypocrites these people are. Here's Elizabeth Warren. I think she's been elected 3 times now as a U.S. Senator, so she's been in office for over a decade. Elizabeth Warren's net worth is somewhere close to, or maybe surpasses, but the research you'll find online will tell you that she's worth about $12 million. So here's this super diehard socialist / communist who's worth $12 million, And no one seems to blink an eye at that, bat an eye at that. Doesn't seem to bother her followers or people on the left at all. You wonder how these people, and it happens on both sides of the aisle, I get it, get into Congress, just workaday folks, middle class, and they come out of there loaded. Loaded. It happens at all levels of government in every state in the country. It's sickening. But especially on the left, where they are so devoted to investing in the people. Hey, Elizabeth, why don't you take half your net worth and give it away to the people? But I say this because it bothers me, because these people are socialists, they're communist wannabes. People cut from that cloth have it in for people of faith, especially Christians, and eventually Jews. And I think the religion of peace will probably be escape their criticism, because I think there's a bigger plan in the works for all of that. But nonetheless, this is why I left the state of California. And this is why many people are fleeing the Golden State as well, the once Golden State as well. But let me give you a couple other examples. And I saved this for the very last because I learned something during my years in talk radio. If you approach this topic, you're going to lose audience quickly. Okay, so this is a 15-minute podcast. Here we are, almost 12 minutes in. I'm going to finally get to this, because you won't believe what I'm about to share with you, especially if you're not from the state of California. And if you live in the state of California, you probably don't even know about this. But California has the most liberal, whacked abortion laws in the country. Now, this is very near and dear to my heart, because I dedicated a huge part of my life to seeing kids adopted. Get them out of the foster care system, get them adopted. My own family expanded greatly because of this mindset that my wife and I have always had regarding being pro-life. But in California, the law states that for any reason, a woman could have an abortion right up to the day before she gives birth, for any reason. Oh, I can't take this mental health. Oh, I'm under such stress. I need an abortion. According to California law, she's eligible. It's causing her much stress. It's something that needs to be taken care of with an abortion. In California also, the liberal laws are so great that if you're a woman in another state and you cannot get an abortion, California will arrange for you to be transported to the state of California, get on a plane, it's all paid for. You come here, we'll put you up in a hotel, and we'll make sure you get that abortion that you want, that you can't get in your own state. And by the way, if you come here with your family, we'll put them up in a hotel too. So you can have the abortion, you can recuperate, and then we'll fly you back home. But this is another one. People do not believe this. It's Assembly Bill 2223. It was drafted. Now, this is what the bill actually says. The bill was drafted to shield people from civil or criminal liability based on actions or omissions, quote, with respect to their pregnancy or actual, potential, or alleged pregnancy outcome, including miscarriage, stillbirth, abortion, or perinatal death. And do you see where I'm going with this? In other words, this law was crafted to allow women to not be prosecuted should, during 28 days after they give birth, the child suddenly dies. It's written, in fact, to revise coroner duties that have led to investigations and prosecutions in pregnancy loss cases. They're making it easy for that woman who decides, for whatever reason, after her baby is born, to make sure it no longer lives. I would call that infanticide, but they're saying, no, we're not including infanticide here. This would just be some sort of accidental death. She's not going to be prosecuted. We're going to limit what the coroner can look into in these particular cases. Friends, that is absolutely sickening. If you're going to pray for one state, pray for California. Pray that this state gets its head back on straight. It used to be a wonderful state way back in the day. There's still hope. I'm praying for a Jesus revival in that state. There was one that hit this country back in the 70s, and some of the most crazy lunatics you could ever imagine came to know Jesus and got their head back on straight again. And I'm praying in this particular case, there's going to be a revival, that people will repent, they will come to their senses, morality will once again reign, and God will see to it that California comes back to him. Let me share a Bible verse that really speaks to these times in which we live. These are days of deception. People are believing the kookiest things. And Paul talks about it. 2 Timothy 4:3 and 4. For the time will come when people will not put up with sound doctrine. Instead, to suit their own desires, they will gather around them a great number of teachers who say what their itching ears want to hear. They will turn their ears away from the truth and turn aside to myths. Days of deception. Hold tight, my friends. God bless your week.